Hello and welcome to Silent Creativa. First of all, Happy New Year, and yeah, as I mentioned in my last video, I have two Christmas gifts that I have to make, still have to make, and yeah, this is a project I'm working on since the 6th of December. And I start to really hate this project. It became kind of a tradition that I make a doll for a friend of mine every year. She has some original characters, and I started making a doll for her once, and yeah, nowadays we are at the point that I do this every year for her Christmas present. And this year I was like, yay, a puppet. I watched some videos by Adam Kreutinger and thought, okay, that looks quite easy, and yeah, it is not. Um, Maybe it's because the first one, or the first two ones, but at the moment I'm really hating these two guys. I decided to make two puppets, one for me, one for her, to not make the same mistakes I make with my puppet on her puppet, but that failed miserably. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I work on this since the 6th of December, with what is 1 month now, and I'm not the person who is good at working on a project for that amount of time. So, yeah. But I really want to show you how they came out and how they look, but this will be the video that you will see next week because I still have struggles to finish the dolls. And yeah, maybe you enjoy it. And yeah, one thing I had to learn was that I made the mouth a little bit too small. On this one, it works because it's more snout-like. On the more human-like doll, it was a mess. The mouth is tearing apart, and I had to give it some more support by adding more foam. I already worked sometimes with the technique to use tape for making patterns, but I never thought about taking just small sections, so everything was always a little bit bumpy. And the second thing was I never thought about making my own figure and using this for a pattern. So yeah, I think I will do something like this more often now, because I think it's great for everything, making plushies or something like that. And even for my doll dresses, this is a really great technique. Of course, it will help you if you have a slight knowledge about where to put darts and cuts and everything like that. But the main theory about it is to have it flat on the paper later, and that is works quite well. To make it easier, I parted the whole figure into, yeah, different body parts. It is a bit spooky to say things like that. But never mind. After this, I took the pieces from the model and, yeah, just traced it onto paper, and then I went to the copy shop to blow them up onto a size that was working for me. And I highly recommend watching the videos of Adam Kreutinger for this, because he really knows what he is doing instead of me, who just thinks he knows what to do. After all the pattern pieces were cut out, I was finally able to trace them on the foam. I used a foam which was 1.5 centimeters thick, which is nearly the same as 1/2 inch, how Adam recommends. Yeah, afterwards I think that was a little bit thin. The heads were not as stable as I would hope that they would be. So yeah, if I would do a doll like this again, a puppet like this again, I think I would use a thicker foam, maybe, yeah, 2 centimeters or more. I really enjoyed working with the contact cement because it glues everything together quite nice. I tried to correct something and yeah, the foam was tearing apart, but the glue was holding onto each other like, you know. So this was a great thing. I worked one time with with another contact cement, and that wasn't nearly as great as this. So I think I will use this type of glue again. And from this on, it was just gluing together pieces. To make the mouth plates, I used some cardboard that I placed inside the mouth. And though I wasn't quite sure if the top and the bottom part would be the same size, I made it for both parts. And then I traced this onto plastic. It was a top lid of a plastic container I had laying around, and the container was broken, so I could use the lid, and yeah, just made the mouth plate out of it and glued them in place too. get something to hold your hand in place inside the mouth, I made some holes and then just sewed in some elastic band, and that worked quite well. I think in his tutorial, Adam Kreutinger makes more of the stitch lines, sewing lines, you know what I mean. For the top of the hand, I just made one and it worked quite well. And now you will see me fail again. I had the idea that, yeah, the fabric is something with a stretch, and so I could use just a thinner fabric, and yeah, that was exactly the problem. After I made the first cover for the head, the cover was too small and pushed the head into a weird shape, and I had to do all this again. This time I used some leftover fleece, or to be correct, not leftover, I bought some. And yeah, then I was a little bit frightened of having it too small again, and then I made it a little bit too big. But now it is as it is. You will see it later. The main thing I am doing here is just having a piece of fabric with one straight side, which will be the middle line, and then, yeah, just making darts everywhere to have it as flat on the shape as possible. Again, I traced the pattern pieces onto paper and then onto fabric. On the headpiece for the bull, or the Minotaurus, you see that I left a round space where his horns will be later. Then I traced everything onto the fabric and pinned it together, sew it together, made a neck and the mouth plate, and yeah, that was the point where I decided to make everything again. You have to deal with this version because I was quite annoyed at this moment and didn't film the rest. So, but the steps are quite the same. Gluing the cover onto the hats was, yeah, strange and not as easy as it looked at the videos of Adam Kreutinger. I thought I'd do it like he said, gluing them in while the glue is wet to correct everything later, and yeah, I still have a lot of wrinkles on the mouth plate, but after all, I was okay with it, and yeah. So take your time with this and try to make it a lot more precise than I did it, if you want to. Yeah, and then I noticed that the head of the more human-like doll was not stable enough to hold the wig, so I made a second kind of head-shaped piece and glued it right inside of the head. And that was okay. And that was it for the first part of the video. I hope you stay tuned to see the finished result of the puppets, and yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.